Good evening, my dear subscribers. This is video number 398, and in this video I'm going to explain the difference between bivariate correlation and partial correlation, and I'll also explain how to compute bivariate and partial correlations using STATA and SPSS. So let me start with this video. This R sub xy basically stands for zero order correlation or bivariate correlation, whereas Rxy dot z is denoting a partial correlation between x and y given or controlling for z. So be with me and watch this video up to the end so that you could understand these topics and their computation and explanation. So here is the presentation scheme. I'll define bivariate correlation, partial correlation, and then I'll compute bivariate correlation and partial correlation in STATA and SPSS, and I'll interpret the results, and finally I'll conclude. So let me start with the definition of bivariate or zero order correlation. Zero order or bivariate correlation is used to measure if the two variables are related to each other or not. The purpose of bivariate analysis is to analyze the multiple variables simultaneously. The analysis is to measure a linear relationship between two variables. Here is an example from STATA, and these various values below the principal diagonal shows the bivariate or zero order correlations between various pairs of different variables. I'll explain these lately. Let me also define partial correlation. Partial correlation is used to measure the relation after controlling other variables, that is the third variable, and these correlations measure the correlation between two variables but eliminate the effect of the third variable. So it is best used in multiple regression. Partial correlation collects variables, and it is useful for uncovering false relationships and detecting hidden relationships. And here is an example from STATA, where there are partial and semi-partial correlations of a variable reading score with writing score, mathematics, science, and others. Here is an example. For example, variable 1 depends upon variable 2, and we control for the third variable. Then the correlation coefficient between 1 and 2 given 3 is given by this area, that is we are controlling for the third variable. Now how to compute bivariation and bivariate correlation and partial correlation in STATA and SPSS. I'll go to data, and I have already calculated this, and you may compare. This is the computation in SPSS, and this is the computation in STATA, and these value 0.59 and 0.597 here, these are comparable. Similarly, this is the bivariate relationship between reading score and math score, which is 0.662, and here this is exactly the same. Similarly, we can also compare the partial correlation in STATA and SPSS, and this is the partial correlation that were computed in STATA. So this is the partial correlation between reading score with writing while controlling for math, and this is the partial correlation between reading score and math while controlling for writing. Similarly, these are the this is exactly the same, 0.318, which is 0.319, and here this is the partial correlation coefficient between reading score and writing score while controlling for math score, and this is the partial correlation coefficient between reading score and math score while controlling for writing score. Now this is another method in which we can also compute both bivariate correlation and partial correlation easily with the linear regression. So I would like to show you how we can do that in SPSS. So first I would like to open my file, and I'll give in the comment section the web link address for this file. You can download the file. First I would like to see this using the regression method. I'll go to linear, and then let us suppose my reading score is my dependent variable, and writing and this math is these are my independent variables. Now I'll click on this, and I'll click on part and partial correlations, continue, and here are my results. These are usual results for the model summary, the R and R squared, adjusted R square, and so on, and this is the ANOVA. These are my results. Reading score is my dependent variable, whereas writing score and math score are my independent variables. This is the unstandardized coefficient. These are the standardized coefficient. These are the t values. These are the significance value. These are the bivariate correlation coefficient. So this is the bivariate or zero order correlation coefficient between reading score and writing score, and this is the bivariate or zero order correlation between reading score and math score, and this is the partial correlation coefficient between the reading score and the writing score while controlling for math score, and this is the partial correlation coefficient between reading score and math score while controlling for writing score. So here in one go we can have both the zero order or bivariate correlation and partial correlations. We can also do the same with another method in SPSS, and this time I will use correlation method. So I'll go to correlate, and I can send these here, reading, writing, and math score, and I can so these are exactly the same values that I just showed you. So this is the bivariate correlation between writing and reading score. This is the bivariate correlation between math score and reading score, and so on. Now I can also calculate the partial correlation coefficient. Let us suppose I want partial correlation coefficient between reading and writing while controlling for math. So I'll send this here, and after clicking, now I will show this is the partial correlation coefficient between reading score and writing score while controlling for math score. This is the same. Now I can do exactly the same thing for partial correlation coefficient between math, and I'll shift this here, and I'll shift this here. Now this partial correlation coefficient between reading score and math score is 0.465 while controlling for the writing score. So this is exactly the same as I did earlier in SPSS with the regression method, and I can also do the same analysis using STATA. So I'll go to STATA. So here is my STATA file, and I'll show how we can do that. So let me go to statistics and summary. Here are my pairwise, and so I will send it here read, write, and math, and I'll submit. So these are exactly the same values. This is 0.596. This is the bivariate or zero order correlation between reading and writing, and this is the bivariate correlation between reading and math. I can do the same analysis for pairwise partial correlation, and here are my partial correlations. Now this time let me send it here, and I will math and right. So this is a now this is exactly the same value that I already found with the SPSS, and this shows partial correlation coefficient between reading score and the writing score while controlling for maths, and this 0.465 is the partial correlation coefficient between the reading score and the math score while controlling for the writing score. So both software are giving exactly the same answer for bivariate and zero order correlation. And let me also show these methods again to you here. Now this is the regression method. These are the zero order correlation between reading and writing. This is between reading and math score. This is the partial correlation coefficient between reading and writing score while controlling for math, and this 0.465 is the partial correlation coefficient between reading score and math score while controlling for the writing score. And here you can also see the same. That is 0.597, and this is 0.662, and this is 0.617. These are exactly the same values that I showed earlier, and these are the bivariate values. Then these are the partial correlation coefficients, and finally we can also find the same values using the regression. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how we can compute zero order correlations, partial correlations using SPSS and STATA, and this is the interpretation. And I also showed the two different methods of carrying out partial correlation. One is the correlate method, and the other one is this linear regression. I'll give you the web link for this file in the comment section, and you can download the file HSB2 that you can play with using finding out these correlations. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, kindly subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends, with your colleagues, so that they can also get benefit of this. Thank you, and see you in another video.